Hello, the internet, and welcome back to another episode of D-Backs Dispatch. I am your host, the internet's Gabriel Ferrer, and today I'm joined by Brett. Unfortunately, Brandon couldn't be here today. We hope he gets better and feels better, but we also have an exciting guest today, Mr. Christian Trout, otherwise known as the Hill. I'm
Uh,
gonna mess this up. The
You're good.
Hillsboro Hops
Hippidy Hops Guy, yeah.
Hippidy Hops Guy, aka Christian Trout. Apparently, no relation to Mike Trout.
Nah, maybe a distant cousin, but yeah, it's I definitely don't have the same skills, so I can't say we're related.
Yeah. How's it going, Christian?
Amazing, amazing.
So the reason why we have Christian on today is because the Hillsboro Hops, which are a minor league affiliate for the Diamondbacks, they are looking to construct a new stadium, and so far right now they're about 15 million short. Supposedly they're looking to get an extra 8 million, not added to it, but somebody's looking to give him 8 million to go on top of those 15. But what are your thoughts, Christian?
It's amazing. This was a big first step in the next step. The Hillsboro Hops were able to secure that 8 million from the city of Hillsboro. It was a unanimous decision by the commissioners. Because of that, the Hillsboro Hops are able to go to the state of Oregon. It'll be in Salem, I believe it's in March, and they're able to take that and ask for another the rest of the 15 million to complete the stadium. Um, with the owners, Mike and Laura, contributing 82, I believe, million of their own personal money to fund the $120 million. They're so close to being able to finish this off, and all they need is this 15 million from the state to be able to do it.
All right, that sounds awesome. I mean, I'm glad some owners are putting their money, uh, where their mouth is, because a lot of times with these major league stadiums, they're asking for, 250 million or $500 million stadiums, and they're like, well, I mean, you taxpayers pay for it instead of paying for at
Right.
least a little portion of it.
Yeah, that's really
Um,
cool. I know most major league owners would probably like try to get everything covered by taxpayer money. They would you know, again, it's not like the Hops are out here like, oh, we need a $500 million stadium or complex. Like they're not asking for much, and the fact that their owners are like, hey, we're gonna front most of the bill ourselves. Like to me, that seems like that's awesome to know that like an owner of the team like wants to stay in the community, isn't just like looking at the people and the fans as a way to just pay for what they want. Like they want to meet halfway in the middle.
100%. And I mean, they've obviously done their due diligence, and the reason for the new stadium isn't because Ron Tonkin is is terrible or whatever, but it's not up to the standards it needs to be for long season high A ball. Just point blank, period. When we do the season ticket holder, like holiday parties and stuff like that, we get to tour around the inside and whatnot. They don't have a weight room even. Ronnie Gajownik didn't have her own bathroom because there's no female bathrooms there.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
they're big major things that fans don't necessarily get to see because the stadium is meant to, accommodate the fans. So it kind of suffered on the player side. Not saying that the Hops didn't care about the players. It's just for low season or for, short season, low A ball, it's a great stadium when you're only playing 30 games. When you're playing 60 plus games, totally different. And then you add in the 2021 season with the Canadians being there too. Hillsboro needs a big multi-sports complex that can also be a better baseball park, which is the crux, in my opinion, of this whole thing. Is the Hops need a ballpark that players can play.
Yeah, that's incredibly important, especially for these minor leaguers. Like, oh, and I've read about a bunch of them. They have to get like gym memberships, like Planet Fitness and stuff, just to get their workouts in, because a lot of these facilities don't have actual weight rooms or anything. And I remember, like if you see people always talk about, these old minor league stadiums, they're pillars of the community. A lot of them are, made from the 50s, 60s, 70s. They're incredibly run down. And like,
Yep.
I know in this like sports culture we get a new stadium every 5 years or whatever, but there's a lot of these older stadiums that really need to be renovated for the players, for the fans, and like, it can't be like Oakland with sewage spilling out, on the field and stuff.
I went to the reverse boycott game, and I saw why everyone was so upset. Like it's I get it. Players, and that was more on the fan side too. That stadium, that poor stadium, man.
Yeah.
I would
But yeah,
never.
no, having a facility that players can safely actually work out in and play in, I think that's a big missed point, especially with the Hillsboro Stadium that people aren't getting. They're thinking about, well, my seats are fine and everything looks beautiful. Why do we need a new stadium?
I did notice that in some of the videos and screenshots, and I believe I don't know if it was the owner of the Hops, because I saw a clip of it. He was talking about like their plans, how the field's going to be like right next door, how they can like orient it different, because like that third, it did look like that third base line like was rough with the sun. Like I couldn't imagine like sitting in that area. Like I would need like 2 pairs of sunglasses just to block out all that sun.
It is insane. It is like a laser beam. The only time that it's not bad or that it's comparable to the first base side is on a Sunday, because it's a day game, middle of the day, so the sun's right overhead, so everybody's getting hit with sun. Other than that, thick base line, it is just sun.
That makes sense. I can see why, because the home dugout's on the first base side for the Hops, right? Okay.
Yep.
So maybe I guess they probably designed it. They're like, ooh, the visitors can suffer.
Yeah, right. That's what they thought.
Yeah. All right, Christian. How did you get interested in the hops?
So my wife is a travel nurse, and we ended up moving to the Seattle area because during the pandemic, we lost our professional rugby team, and we're big sports fan, and rugby is my first love. So we moved to Seattle for that. We were there for a couple months, and my wife ended up getting a contract in Portland. And we're like, let's go to Portland. Let's figure out what that's like. So we moved down here, and obviously it's 2021, so stuff's opening up, but nothing else is really going on. So I was just looking to see. I haven't been to a minor league baseball game since I was a kid. So I just looked up minor league baseball teams, and I thought the closest one was Eugene, because I hadn't heard of Hillsboro. I was looking for a Portland thing, and I found the Pickles, but that's, collegiate woodbat, not minor league. So finally I figured out that Hillsboro, like days before opening day, that Hillsboro is there. All the tickets are sold out May 4th, but May 5th, there was a ticket available. So I get a ticket, and I go out there thinking, finally something to do during the pandemic. And I bought a radio because, there's hardly any noise because no one's there. And listened to Rich Burke for the whole game. And from that day on, it was every day I was going there. I could not stop watching the game. Like, the players were amazing, the fans were amazing, and the staff just knock it out of the park. Sorry for the pun, but they really are incredible people. And like I can call them friends now after knowing them for 3-4 years now. They're amazing. Hops.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm the same as you. I actually take my radio to the D-backs games because I love Greg Schulte. I mean,
Yes.
I like their new guy too, but it's not going to be the same as having Greg Schulte.
It's going to be an adjustment period, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Chris is great, but I know exactly what he's going to say when an ending ends. He always says, "And the ending comes to a close." Yep. He says it every single time. But yeah, so I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the seasons to start so I can do that stuff again. But so you guys have a cheering group called Section 5, right?
Yes.
What sort of traditions do you guys have on game days?
So there's a couple things. One of the things that we always have is we have our mascot, Growler here. Growler, like a beer growler,
I like that. I like that.
We say that he growls, but not that intimidating. And it's mainly just to try to get the kids to notice to come over, because then we have little rubber duckies that we hand out. That's the big thing, because our catchphrase, so to speak, is "give them the bird," because when we're behind, we like to try to distract the pitchers however we can. And for one of my birthdays, my sister sent me a rubber chicken. So I had it laying around, and one day brought it to a game. We were behind. I held it up and yelled, "Give them the bird," and started squeezing it. And from that day on, I've been bringing a rubber chicken. Other people have been bringing rubber chickens, been handing out rubber chickens. So that's definitely the biggest of all of them. But voodoo dolls too. I don't know how popular that is among other people. It's kind of like
I kind of like that. That's
a
funny.
secret-ish thing, but I've been to all of the stadiums for all the other teams, and I go and I get their plushie or whatever, and I walk around our stadium during game days with pins, and I ask the staff and other fans, do you want to stick the voodoo doll? And they'll, some people are nice about it. Some people are definitely, they go for some sensitive areas and stuff, but it's, a way to loosen it up and get people, not so worried, especially if it's like a losing streak or something. People definitely won't start showing up more. If they are on a 7-game losing streak or whatever, there's people who are like, what's the point in going? But if they have something fun to do, the possibility of winning somehow, maybe.
Yeah. No,
I like that. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, I agree with you when it comes to
just another just a silly thing. Like confetti too. We have no mess confetti where it's all just attached. So you can just wrap it up real quick. Yeah,
yeah, that's cool.
That's so
yeah. I think that's something that's like sorely missing in like American sports in general. Like if you see the Japanese games, like these are high school games, and that's the thing. I think it's like everywhere except the majors, because college games are crazy. Like every single pitch matters. People are going crazy. There's bands playing. Like I've thrown out the suggestion to maybe have the so here during like Hispanic Heritage Weekend, they have like a full like banda. That's like a Mexican like mariachi and everything playing in left field during the games.
That's so cool.
And it's so awesome. Like suddenly, like the inning ends, and then you just hear like music playing, and everybody's going crazy, and it's like, why can't they do that for like every single game? But I mean, I know some people would hate it.
It's a whole party that
yeah,
entire
I know
game.
some people would hate it, but after a while, you get used to it, and you have fun. You like, there's so many things you can do to get the fans, involved and having noise and stuff. Like instead of it just being quiet.
Right, and part of it is having a place where fans know they can go for that kind of stuff, and then if they don't want to be there, they have the option to be somewhere else. That's kind of why I named it Section 5, is because I wanted it to be in just the one spot, because I don't want people to have to walk around to the third base side looking for where is that crazy group of chicken people, or going down to Section 1. I want them to know we're right here. If you come to this section, you're gonna find it. So because of that, we've had, I can't even tell you how many people have switched their season tickets to Section 5 or Section 6 right next to us. New people that have gotten season tickets, people that have come back from the season before for the one game they go to a year because they know I'm going to be there. Like, it's awesome. It even when the game, it only has like 1,600 people show up in the 5,000 seat stadium.
Yeah.
Section 5 has a good chunk of people. Like it's I don't want to say it's full, but it's pretty, it's pretty close.
Probably full.
Rainy day, not so much, but that's because everyone's under the awning trying to stay dry. Some of them. A lot of us, we have our umbrella hats. We don't care. So
that's really cool. That's I know we're talking about it before the show, but that's definitely something that I wish we had more of here at Chase Field. Like I know, like especially like even me, like there's times where I can like I some people say habitual line stepper, like when the Dodgers are in town. Like again, I don't yell anything, like I don't no profanities. I'm not like making anything personal. It's just like, dude misses a ball in the gap. Corbin Carroll would have made that play. Like simple things like that. And like for that series against the Dodgers, like I had fans like call to try to get me thrown out by security for just that, for just cheering. So we need something, like we need like that kind of energy. And like I like how you said you keep in one area, because again, there's people that don't enjoy that. Like there's people that want to just go, like again, if you want to go to a game just to not like do anything, you want to just sit there and just like have a relaxing time watching baseball, that's totally fine, and I totally understand. But it's also one of those where I'm like, don't be mad at people that want to like show up and like bring the energy, because like we saw it in the postseason in the comments from like Zach Gallen and Torey Lovell and all these guys, that like I've never heard this many people like actually be like, wow, the fans, like we like there's really some diehard baseball fans here in Arizona. Like it's it's so nice to hear that kind of thing coming from like players' mouths instead of like, you know, AJ Pollock, where he's like, oh yeah, the stadium's full when the Dodgers are here, but that's it, you know, like throwing the Diamondback fans under the bus. Like we need that kind of energy from more like Diamondback fans, and like I love that. Like I love that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And because I started doing it, I put on the beer costume and all that stuff. The whole reason was because minor league baseball, we all know the fans or the players aren't there for a long time. You're lucky if you get them 2 seasons. So that they're not here for a long time. So make it a really good time. Let them know you appreciate them. And it sucks because some of my favorite players, they've only played for the Hops. They never got promoted or anything. But the entire time they were there, I did everything I could to try to make sure that they had the best time, that they knew they were appreciated. You know, some of those guys, most of them aren't going all the way to the top or even getting promoted to Amarillo. Let's make this the spot where they have the best time of their life. Let's make this the best memory they ever have. Instead of, you know, no one showing up, quiet, empty stadium. All you're doing is sitting there, chit-chatting. You know, nothing wrong with that. But I want them to know there is more than, you know, like 50, 60, 70 people that are going to be there every game going crazy for you. Yeah. I think it's important, especially, you know, because this is our community team. You know, it's for our town. So let's show them how much we love baseball. And Hillsboro is definitely a baseball town.
Yeah, I need to make a trip up there. I mean, my wife has always talked about making a trip up that part of the country, and I think that'll just be a nice excuse. Like, yeah, we'll definitely do it. And then I'm like, oh, we did it in the middle of summer. There's like, oh, there's a minor league game going on. I guess we'll have to go check that out.
Oh no, I guess we gotta go.
Yeah. All right. So before I ask the next question, I want to acknowledge a couple comments here. Fit check. It says shout out to Brett and the rest of the crew, a Padres fan. And Martin Drew says, it sucks that Oakland's going to miss all the fan cheering. They always have the best fan sections. And that's something I've always heard about Oakland. Like, I know that there's a lot of people who don't go, but those fans are dedicated. They love the team. And I'm really disappointed that they're going to move to Vegas.
Yeah, seeing them come out, going to that reverse boycott game and seeing those fans and talking to them. I mean, I thought we got wild. Those dudes
they party.
Wearing fish heads with the drums, going nuts. You couldn't even have a conversation. You didn't want to, but you couldn't if you wanted to because it was just so loud. Oh, it was fantastic. Yeah, that's gonna be.
Really got screwed. They don't deserve that honor.
No, you were talking about earlier about the about some of your favorite hops. Which one are your favorite hops, or who's one of your favorites and underrated hop?
So it's going to be a tie between two for my favorite. It's going to be Cam Coursey and Gary Mattis Jr. Cam Coursey was one of the first players that I noticed. Just like every time a ball was hit near him, he just seemed to be able to snag it. And he was shorter than basically everyone else on the team. So I was just like, damn, dude, like this guy's wild. So him and then Gary Mattis Jr. was just an incredibly personable guy and super talented. Most underrated is, I'm going to say, Leodani Perez, because he had some of the wildest catches I've ever seen. Like, you know, falling out over the fence, catching the ball, not hitting the ground and coming back with the ball. Like, the dude was crazy athletic. I couldn't believe the stuff he did.
I'm going to have to look up some of those highlights on those.
Yeah,
I just looked up Cam Coursey. He said he retired.
Yeah, he retired at the end of last season, I believe it was, or the end of the season before. I mean, I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that's unfortunate. Well, what about the promotional giveaways? I know minor league ballparks have the craziest giveaways. Which are your favorite?
The Beer Stein is definitely the annual Beer Stein giveaway. You can't beat that. It's every year. I mean, I got all mine and I use them all the time. The one that they did that I thought was super unique was they did a wedding night where you show up in your wedding attire if you want to. And if you do, you get a free bunt cake from Nothing Bunt Cakes, one of their sponsors.
Nothing Bunt Cakes is amazing too.
Oh, dude. So, and those little ones are incredible. I mean, I look like this. I eat them all. They're amazing.
Hey, I don't blame you, man.
My wife and I were so prepared. Like we just had these like dress up, top hat and veil and stuff like that. So I was so stoked for that. It was just such a simple little thing. Like anything you did to try to show, you're in a wedding, they gave you a butt cake. It was awesome. So much fun.
Yeah.
And then green apple.
Yeah, I went to it was years ago when I was like I think like middle school age. I went to San Bernardino for youth umpire school because I was really into like umpiring and all that. And one of the things that we did at the umpire school was we went to a minor league. I think it was the Angels AA team at the time, which is funny because now that I think about it, I think it was the year before Trout got there. Worst timing ever. I hate it. We went there and it was cool. We got to do like a tour of like the stadium, like, see like the umpires locker rooms, like talk to them and all that. And like, like the environment there was super fun. Like the in-between stuff they do, like, it's not just the t-shirt giveaways. It's always like, it's like interaction based. Like it gets you, it's not just, oh, here's free stuff. It's like gets you up out of your seat, gets you to do something. And then even just walking around the concourse, like there's always like free giveaways. Like they're always trying to be like, hey, spin this raffle ticket to see what you can win. Like I won a Ken Griffey Jr., which I was like, I don't know why the Angels minor league team is giving away a Ken Griffey Jr. bobblehead. I'll take it, but like, I don't know why. Yeah, so minor league stadiums have always seemed like they get it pretty. They're pretty locked in with the promotions.
Oh yeah, because you get to cater to your city, your town. You can make it super specific to them, so it doesn't have to be so generic. You can only get. Like I went to a Visalia Rawhides game, and I got a Rawhide jersey that they only had on that giveaway thing, and it's like the only Rawhide thing that I own. But it's even more special because it was, something from them, by them, for their fans specifically. Not here's the same giveaway bobblehead or whatever with a different label type of thing. That type of stuff.
Yeah, like we bought 200,000 of these from like whatever supplier, and now we're just gonna give them away 2 years in a row.
Put a different sticker on. We'll be good.
Yeah. So what's the baseball culture like in Hillsboro?
Since we have obviously all these great players that have gone on to play for the D-backs or, have gone on to have Major League Baseball careers, super dedicated D-backs fans, but we also have the Mariners, only 3 hours away. So super dedicated Mariners fans as well. So we definitely get like a mix of, the Everett's team up there, the Aqua Sox. They got a huge fan base down in Hillsboro as well, because you're watching the future local players go play for the local professional team, and then you also got all the D-backs players and top prospects in the nation coming to Hillsboro too. It's the perfect place to be. And then we can also throw on the Portland Pickles, which has its own culture of baseball fans that go to Hillsboro Hops games. So it's big. Baseball is a big thing here. The only thing I'd say is bigger is soccer, but other than that, baseball is the
That's
thing.
great to see, because
Far region.
I'm really curious to see if they end up like expanding, because I know that it seems like for the last like decade, it's always been like Portland's like the one area you constantly hear about them trying to like get a team, and like that's the thing, like there's a lot of other teams or like cities that you might hear once and then like it doesn't really happen. Like that's consistently like the one that they're always like mentioning.
Oh yeah. The what is it? MLB PDX MLB organization that they're trying to get an MLB team to Portland. That's still, people are still all about that. I mean, I'm all about it too. Yes, that would be amazing. But yeah, no, baseball, when the All-Star game was in Seattle, I went up to the John Boy Media.
Oh yeah, nice.
Podcast thing there. And when they were asking about when they were talking about Oakland, they were like, where should the A's move to? And they were thinking, should they move somewhere in Idaho or close to there? Everybody was like, Portland. They have to go to Portland. Go to Portland. Portland is the baseball town. So I didn't know that before I moved out here, and having lived here for 3-4 years, Portland is a baseball town. They are crazy about it. They love it. That's why I'm more surprised about this. People having anything bad to say about the Hops getting a new stadium. It's like, why wouldn't they? Now you have the Ron Tonkin Field can be used for college playoff games, stadium or state playoff like championship games.
Yeah, I really
And
hope they keep it.
state of the art quality. It's a quality stadium.
It would really
Yeah.
break my heart if they do kind of like what they do with a lot of other stadiums where they like somewhat demolish it, but then they keep like home plate there and they make it like a small football field. Like
Yeah.
I really hope they just keep it there because I've heard nothing
and
but
that's
great
the thing
things about.
that's promised. So if they got rid of it, the only reason I'd see they do it would be to put a softball field in, but there's no reason for them to do that there. You know,
Yeah.
they still need a baseball stadium. They still need more baseball stadiums, you know. But
Yes.
yeah.
So what are your hopes for the stadium then?
So there's a couple things that I'm excited for. Multiple entrances, because when you park in the really far parking lot here, you have to walk. I don't want to say it's a long ways, but it's a little ways to get to the main. It's just the main entrance, and that's the only place that you can go in. It's also the only place really that the opposing team can go into, because there's not a place for them to come out into the dugout without having to walk from the football stadium, which is attached to Rontonkin Field, through the gate and down to their dugout. They have to walk through the concourse and then up the stairs and then down to the. So it is. That'll be nice that the players have their own way to get to places, and then having an outfield that is more ADA accessible, I guess, so to speak, flatter concrete, that type of stuff, to allow more people to go out and do things besides just being on the first base or third base concourse. Because there's fun stuff to do out and outfield, but if you are wheelchair bound or have a cane or crutches, it's very difficult to get around there.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, I guess it's slightly better than Dodger Stadium, where you have to walk uphill for like 30 minutes to get to the actual stadium or whatever. And, but
I
anyways,
definitely see what you're talking about though, with like hearing about that, like, and then also the fact that there's no like, female bathrooms like already in there. Like,
it's crazy.
it's kind of crazy that like, because everything I've seen, like you said, like earlier, as an actual baseball viewing experience, it's a beautiful ballpark for fans. But the like infrastructure, like the for the players and then like the staffers, it's not really like up to par with what you'd expect, even like probably a stadium 10 years ago, like let alone just like now in 2024.
I wish I had a picture. I wish I would have asked the Hops to send me a picture to show you guys, because they have, their batting cages, which is, I think it's 2 right next to each other, just 2. It's 1 pitching machine. I'm sorry. And then 2 pitching mounds. And then the weight room is right next to it, as in you stand next to the batting cage and you face it, and there's weights right here, and you lift. That's how tight it is. An entire minor league baseball team is literally, my apartment living room is bigger than where they have to work out. And that's the big thing. That's what people aren't seeing, that I wish the Hops would put up, to be like, look, it's not that this place sucks. It's just that it's not adequate for what we need. It's not up to the standards.
Yeah.
It's so simple in my mind. It's so simple.
Plus, like you said, like there's a lot of guys that like, this could be the highest stop that they make, or even if it's not the highest, like it could be like they're here for, year, 2, 3 years, like while they're developing, and like you want to make it comfortable for them. Like we already know like the stuff that minor leaguers have to go through, like financially, living situations, like, having to get like a 1-bedroom apartment split between like 5, 6 players just so they can like afford to eat is insane. So it totally makes sense to be like, hey, you know what, like have it be like a like nice place to be at. You don't want them to like be stressed about like having borderline high school baseball level lifting rooms and like locker rooms and just infrastructure in the ballpark. Like make it an actual like modern area, and it'll make the players happy, which I think, like you said, it'll just be a better experience overall.
Right. And because the reward necessarily isn't that they get to play baseball. While that's great and they get to live their dream, there's still people that, have things that they need to live, not just comfortably, but I mean, just to live. And it was fine up until the Hops got promoted. Now it's time and they knew that the Hops knew that, and they're ready and were prepared. Now they just, it's more, people wondering having that view of the stadium, not being able to see what it's actually like where the players go, and having that assumption that nah, everything's fine. They just want a new baseball stadium.
No, yeah, that's
Yeah.
really good insight because yeah, we always assume that like, oh, they're just spoiled players, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
But then you hear about like these minor leaguers and how Brett was saying, like they go through a lot. Like even like the Diamondbacks still with David Peralta, like they always talk about, oh, he worked at McDonald's and that's how he learned English during the minor leagues. Haha, isn't that like a cute, fun story? I'm like, no, that's horrifying.
It's
Hey,
terrible.
He's a major leaguer. Why is he, why is he working at McDonald's half the time? Like
Mhm.
that's ridiculous to me that they have to go do stuff like that just to, get by, and how these guys have like a $20 stipend for the day, and like they have to eat Chipotle. Like even there's Mikael Bridges from the Suns, or with the
Mhm.
Nets now, but how he ate Chipotle every day just because that's kind of all he could eat and everything. It's like, man, I feel for these guys, and I hope they're able to get these weight rooms and everything because like they shouldn't have to spend their own money just to do their
Mhm.
jobs.
Yeah, and
It's
I mean,
stupid.
anyone that knows baseball knows that those dudes have been at the ballpark since like 9, maybe 11 a.m. They're not getting out until 11 o'clock, midnight,
Yeah,
maybe, and having to stay in those, I don't want to say conditions, but there's nowhere else to go. You can't really do anything else, and it's just so cramped. I can't imagine doing that for
yeah,
3, 4, 5 months, and being cool with it, not having some sort of like, all right, come on, like we need to get some real, I don't want to cut stuff
yeah,
in here. You
yeah.
know?
We have a question here from Martin Drew, and he says, "Will the Hops new stadium be on the side of the current stadium?"
Yes, it'll be literally across the parking lot,
Okay.
uh, from where the like employee parking lot is, which is just right on the first base side. It'll be right across the parking lot.
Okay.
So people can just go exactly the same place that they're going, park in the same parking spot, and they'll still be at the stadium.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's super convenient.
That's
So I
awesome.
noticed you're wearing a beer jersey.
Yeah.
Which are your favorite Hops jerseys? Because
Uh,
honestly, I will say mine isn't a Hops one, but if everyone wants to look at like the Chihuahua
That
team
one's
yeah.
good.
jerseys, absolute favorite jerseys I've ever seen in my life.
I'm
And the
still
ones that
partial to
they're coming
calf
out
fries.
with,
I'm still partial to the calf fries, man. That one's just so
And
funny.
Cap Price. Yeah.
dude, yeah, it cracks me up every time I see it. It's so funny. There's actually the Section 5 people in Amarillo that have the Section 5 out there.
Yeah. Subtitles.
Tyson, his wife Heidi, and then Jill. They all they're really funny with it, and they do the calf ride jersey stuff. It's hilarious what they do. My favorite one, I actually have it here. It's the 10th anniversary one that they did.
Oh,
And the
that's
reason I
nice.
brought it is because a lot of people don't get to see it up close, but the pinstriping itself is an actual hop vine.
Dude, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
And then in the
Beautiful.
lettering, it's it's the logo, the trees and the stuff that's in the logo. So a lot of people, when they saw it at first, they saw it from a distance, and they were like, what's so special? You can't even see anything that's going on. And then you get up close, you're like, oh my goodness, the detail in the vines on the pinstriping, and then in the lettering with the trees, by far my favorite. I love pinstripes, so I'm stuck with
Yeah.
pinstripes.
I wish the D-backs would go back to some sort of pinstripes.
Oh, yes. When they're talking about the new jerseys and all that stuff, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
maybe
I
we'll
was
see
hoping
a
the
little.
the white ones would have had pinstripes or something, but
Mhm.
I
Hey,
still
7
like
more
them a lot.
years, we'll get new ones again. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
yeah. We'll just keep pestering them about it.
Yeah.
See, I was going to say, I
Um,
really like your D-backs hat too.
Oh,
The with the mountains in the back. That one's really
yeah,
cool.
I saw it. I was like, it's so perfectly Pacific Northwest and D-backs. Like, I gotta get it. It's just too perfect.
all right, Christian, before we let you go, we want to ask, what are the future plans that you have for Section 5?
Obviously trying to see where we are if and when we get the new stadium, how we're gonna manage, where we're gonna be there. Because the number one question I get is, what if you can't sit in Section 5?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll rename it. I don't know. That we'll
Section
see.
5 through 10.
Yeah, something like that. But a rubber chicken loyalty card type deal is something I'm planning on doing, where people bring their chickens, to 10 games, and they get like special pin or something like that. And a promo schedule is another one that we want it to be in to line up with what the Hops promo schedule is. And they've released theirs. So now I'm just getting mine kind of put together, figure out what I can do. I got all my giveaway stuff and whatnot right next to me, but got to figure out when I'm going to do it. So like stuff like the Wine and Nine night that they do, where it's the wine night type promotion. We have one thing we like to do is we have pearl necklaces that we hand out. Since we're going to get fancy with wine, we might as well dress up a little bit, like stuff like that, where it's just goofy.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah. We're gonna need that.
Just more silliness.
We're gonna need those pearl necklaces for when Jock plays.
Yeah.
And that was the other. I was like, I need to start stocking up real quick.
Yeah.
So,
have you seen the renderings for the new stadium, by the way?
I have seen the ones that they have in the article and stuff and whatnot. Yeah, that one. I've seen that, and then there's another one. I think it might be a little older, where they were still kind of figuring out how it's going to look. I haven't seen the inside, like what they planned for that. The only thing I've seen before they decided on a new stadium was when they were thinking about trying to upgrade Ron Tonkin, and they showed the blueprints of what they planned on doing if they could, but it was like $6 to $10 million more to upgrade the stadium than to build a new one. So that's as far as I've gotten. I think they've been trying to get the money for the stadium first, and then let us get all excited about it.
Yeah, because I think in that article, that again, I don't remember if it was the owner or whatever, but when he was talking about like the placement of the stadium and all that, I believe he mentioned that it was like the stadium's design was only maybe like 20-30% through.
Yeah, because it went from literally they were going to lower the outfield grass area that we have, because it's kind of at a slant. So they were going to lower that and flatten it. They're going to bring in the outfield to make it more home run friendly. Like, there was all this stuff that they were going to do, but once you get to the third base side, it's connected to the football stadium, and the football stadium is not owned by the Hops. So they can't do anything because they would literally have to push out the third base side in order to add in an appropriate locker room, an appropriate restroom, the restrooms, all of that stuff, the stuff for all the visiting team stuff over there. And they can't do that because they can't just go knock down the stadium or build underneath it, because all that stuff is for the football stadium. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a whole other, fiasco there. But yeah, no, I haven't seen plans, and I'm hoping that I'll hear something soon. But the one thing that I have been told by the front office is that obviously this season's going to happen, and next season. So at least we're good. I know that much, and that makes me feel comfortable that, at least we'll be, here for 2 more seasons. Hopefully by March we get that, or in March we get that rest of the $15 million to get this finished.
Yeah.
The Hops need to pay
Christian, it's been a pleasure. Christian is the Hippidy Hops Guy. Where can we find you
right now,
other than the games?
Say again.
So where can we find you other than at the games?
So my handle on everything is Hippidy Hops Guy. Section5.com will have, you can contact me through there. And then obviously go into a game.
All right, cool.
I'll be the loud guy with the chicken. One of the loud guys with the chickens.
It was very nice to meet you. Everybody in the comments, we're not ending the show here. We're going to keep it going for a little bit. So if you guys have questions, just let us know.
Thanks, Christian.
Brett,
really
appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Awesome. That was Christian Trout.
Hey, I also wanted to mention too, just as someone that also has been kind of watching the games and listening as well, for any of the Diamondbacks fans that obviously aren't in Hillsboro that want to try and follow them closer, You can listen to them on the radio. It's really easy if you have iHeartRadio to find them and listen to them there. Also, if you want to watch the games, if you have the MLB TV subscription, that's also a way to help. But if you can't afford that, there is actually an app from Bally. It's called Bally Live. It's not. It's its very own thing. It's called Bally Live, and that's actually where you can watch a bunch of the minor league baseball games for free. And so that was a way that I watched the Hops a lot last year. So make sure to check that out if you do want to watch the Hops.
Yeah.
I wonder what's
Awesome.
going to
Thank you,
happen with that
Josh.
now that they're going to be under MLB control.
All right. So we're going to be talking about the position players matchups or fights, I guess, to find a place in the roster. But before, I want to bring up Martin Drew's comment. It says, "I'm interested to see what special things the D-backs are going to do this year with so many different Heritage Night promos this year." I believe, Brett, you've seen some of them, right? The Asian.
Yeah, so they posted it somewhere. I believe it was on like some site. They had a lot more like, heritage like nights. I believe it was like they had like a specifically a Japanese heritage night, like a D-backs hat with like the
Japanese
flag of
flag
Japan
on
on the
it.
side.
Yeah.
I believe they're doing obviously again another Mexican heritage night. I believe they're doing a Native American heritage night
Yeah.
for all that. So it's and obviously I think they're doing another Pride night. I think they're doing like usual they do their faith and family night, whatever it's called. So it's really cool to see them just like again like I know there's some people that are like, oh, why does everyone gotta have a night? I think it's really cool just to
Yeah, it's
have
fun.
representation and like it's like we're like I like to go to games because there's other D-backs fans and I like to be a part of that group. Like there's other people that could be D-backs fans and also like they can meet other people that's like, oh cool, like you're in the same like like other community as me that we have the same like shared interest in. That's awesome. We can bond over that and baseball on the same night. So I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So want to look at the positions real quick. Who do you have for the fifth starter?
Fifth starter is gonna be a little bit rough. As in just like rough to like I feel like fully nailed down. I think that's going to be the toughest battle. Kind of like how last year's fifth starter spot literally came down to the last week where nobody really won it, just everybody kind of like lost it. So
Yeah.
I believe it was Ryan Nelson and Tommy Henry that
Yeah.
won it, and then they sent down Fott and they put Dre in the bullpen. I mean, I personally think it's going to be Tommy Henry just because they already have Zach, Merrill, and Brandon, like Erod's, the main lefty. But I think it's nice to have still a balance of like lefties and righties. I personally feel Ryan after what we saw in like the playoffs and the World Series. I believe he's personally better out of the bullpen as either like a long relief or just mid relief kind of dude. Where I think Henry is definitely built to more as a starter. I think this will be a good like year because obviously he was hurt last year. He had some up and down. So I think if he has a pretty good spring, I think he has the best shot to win it. But that doesn't mean guys like Blake or Blake Walston don't have even like again, Yumin Lin like could go out there and absolutely surprise everyone. I doubt that he's even going to get the position. I'm still gonna have my eyes on him, but I think it's going to be probably Tommy Henry and Ryan Nelson at the very end with Blake Walston maybe having somewhat of a shot to sneak in there and snag that fifth spot.
Yeah. And Flores 882 here says, "I'm not Bondi with no Yankees fan." Brett, the Yankees are coming this year, right?
Yeah, the Yankees are coming here.
Should be
So
in the
the
first
opening
month or
series is
something,
against the
right?
Rockies. It's a 4-game series, Thursday through Sunday, and then immediately after that, Monday through Wednesday, we have the Yankees in town. So
Yeah.
D-backs fans show up.
Show up.
Yankees fans are going to be there. Like
Flores, come over and we'll fight them. I'll take all of them right now.
I do have a friend from New York who's a Yankees fan who's coming into town, so I will have a Yankee fan with me. But he's a very chill person. But other than that, D-backs fans show out. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. So at least for me, for the fifth position, I got Tommy Henry just because I don't. We have certain guys. We have guys like Blake Walston and stuff like that who can come in and come in there and really show out in spring. I think that's what it's going to depend on. I think it's just going to depend on his health and Ryan Nelson. Like there's certain guys that we can plug in there. The issue is just going to be their health and how they look in spring because we still have Corbin Martin too. So I don't know when he's coming back. If he's coming back, like we have a lot of guys here that could earn that fifth spot. And but yeah, what about shortstop? Because we have a question there with Perdomo and Lawler. Do you have them both? Do you have just one of them?
I I want to like I'm a Jordan Lawler diehard. Like I got plenty of his cards, and I just would really like to see him on the major league roster. It just I feel like with them bringing in Kevin Newman, um, and then with Lawler having some of the struggles in the MLB when he got caught up last year, plus basically getting like no time in the playoffs because again it's the playoffs, you play your best bats.
Yeah.
Totally understand it. I personally feel like they're gonna stick with Domo starting day short or opening day shortstop, because obviously the third base position is filled with Gino. Kevin Newman could be the backup for short, second, and third because he plays all three of those. And I believe they're going to keep Lawler back down at AAA just to kind of like let him, you know, not like I think he's ready. I personally think he's already
Yeah.
ready, and I think they feel like he's ready, and they're probably telling him that, but they're probably being like, "Hey, we know you're ready. We want to give you just that like comfortability and like you get back into the swing of your thing again, like just show us again like you like what you were doing last year, and you're ready to come back up." I just think it's going to be a little bit tougher because I feel like the D-backs have a affinity to keep some of those older veterans. Like I feel like Barnhart and Newman have better shots at some of those backup roles than some of the other guys that are in the system, just because those other guys still have the options and they still have the time they can develop. Where Barnhart and Newman and some of those other 1 year rookie or 1 year minor league contract guys that they bring in, they probably have the 1 foot in the door for that position.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I think so too. I think Lawler probably will start off in the minors unless he really shows up this spring. But I actually wanted to tie it into what Martin just commented about it. Is I hear a lot of talk of Hazen get a complimentary guy for Peterson. Who are you guys thinking? We've seen it was posted out on Twitter by Mark Feinzen that they're looking at Randall Grichuk, Tommy Pham, Adam Duvall, among other candidates, specifically highlighting Grichuk, who had a 995 OPS versus left-handed pitchers. And I like these options a lot. It just depends on the price. If they want to be, like these sort of, I don't know, just getting halftime, I guess. But I wanted to tie it in specifically to Perdomo because if Lawler shows out this spring and he shows that, like, I'm here, I fixed whatever issue was with my swing, whatever it was, if he's going to be able to bat 270, 280 in the majors and have the power that he has, especially compared to Perdomo, we need him up there. I can't just keep him down. And I love Perdomo and I love seeing him there. Lawler, I think, is still a better shortstop because I saw
100%.
the stat that it was like out of 30 something plays that they had, that Lawler had last year, he completed all 30 plays. Not a single runner reached first base when he made the play. So that means he had no errors. He has a long range. Like there's that Cubs series, if you guys go back and watch, there's a lot of plays that he got to. No idea how he got to them. He threw the ball incredibly hard and he still got the outs. And but I want to talk about Perdomo because his left hand, I guess, batting righty against left-handed pitchers, they're not that great just because he had a limited time last year. But I'm looking at his playoff stats, which completely different hitter in the playoffs than he was during the regular season. He showed more power. He was more aggressive. He still took his walks, but completely different guy. And he
He didn't
batted,
take fastballs right down the middle. He would actually
yeah,
swing at them.
he was swinging at them this time. So he batted 292 with 346 on base, and the slugging was very low, but just short, small sample. So that's a 638 OPS. But I'm specifically looking at the average and the on base percentage. I can see them maybe platooning him with Jock. If they're not able to make a contract with these other guys, I can see him being the right-handed bat that goes in when there's a left-handed pitcher. But yeah, so there's him. And what else? There was one more guy we wanted to look at. So we have third. The last outfielder between Jake, Pavin.
And
Who you
then
got?
potentially, like I know that report was saying, Tommy Pham,
Bam or
Duvall, and
Grichuk, I think,
then
yeah.
Grichuk. I know, like, I mean, all three, like, I would not be upset, like, really mad about either one of them. Again, like, it's not like we're signing these guys to be the everyday outfielder, which is why I would like Tommy Pham for the memes and the jokes. Like, that would just be hilarious. Him and Jock Peterson on the same team. I personally don't think Tommy Pham's going to be looking for. I mean, like, again, he very much could. He could like Arizona enough, and he likes the team and the coaching staff to take a deal where, like, again, I'm pretty sure they'd be very upfront. Like, you're not going to be starting. Like, you might be playing like 40 games, get some at bats, obviously here and there. Like, you're not going to be getting the time that you got last year. Which I even believe on the PHNX show they're talking about. Tommy Pham was a better hitter when he was in the outfield, whereas when they put him as a DH, he hit like almost like under 100. So I personally think he's going to be looking for a longer deal somewhere. Like, there's plenty of other teams that could use the outfield help, like a 2-year deal, plug him in there. He could play like 120 games, DH the rest of them. Like, I think he's going to go somewhere else. Grichuk is really good against lefties. Like, he slugs against lefties. So he would be, I'd be happy with him. But I was looking on Twitter earlier, and Dalton Feely, who's, from Talking Baseball, Diamondbacks fan, he brought up a bunch of stats and splits on Duvall. He has the highest, like, pretty decent pull percentage. He played a lot of games in the outfield, so he can alleviate. Like, he played, I think, 70 something or 56 out of 79 starts in center field last year. So he is a decent option when it comes to fielding. So you don't have to worry about, oh, he's just out here just for the bat. Like, the bat isn't what it is like against lefties versus left-handed pitching, but he's still pretty consistent. And I think he would be pretty good option to get on like a 1 year, like I think Dalton said, 1 year, $7 million contract. I think that fits right in with the D-backs plans with the money. I feel like he would slot right in with the lineup really well. But again, like, I wouldn't be upset with any three of those options that they mentioned in that report.
Yeah, me neither. We're gonna run into an issue. We just have too many outfielders because I think Pavin is still listed as an outfielder as well. I don't think he's gonna play the outfield at all. But we have three right now. So it's gonna be Gurriel, Alec, and Carroll. Those are gonna be the everyday guys. But Jock can play the outfield. Uh, we still have Jake. We still have Pavin. And if we get one of these guys that 6 outfielders, that's way too much to have on the team. So I can honestly see a move coming up, maybe in the spring, maybe a month or two inside. Maybe trade one of these guys for a relief pitcher. Specifically talking about Jake.
So because you bring that up, that's exactly, like, I was cooking in my head a little bit. Like, I think because Fuzzy on YouTube kind of brought up, like, he was talking about like a guy that I think would be really cool to get, like, a shot in, like, just on a different team because of the logjam we have. Package Jake McCarthy with maybe a guy like Tommy Henry or Ryan Nelson, maybe even Blake Walston, like another like pitching prospect, and then maybe some of the like, if they want Blaze out, like, I don't want to go like all AAA
Yeah.
guys, deplete the farm system too much, but maybe another like decent prospect. See if the Guardians want to throw us Class A. Like, again, I don't want to
Yeah.
I love Jake McCarthy and I'd love him to be here, but I would rather have him, kind of like with Fletcher, I'd rather have him get an opportunity somewhere to actually get playing time and
Yeah.
show that he can be a consistent good major league player. And like, it sucks when your team trades away somebody good, but when you have it's a good problem to have when you have a log jam like that, where that could, like, bring in another solid piece for the bullpen, could help the Guardians out and giving them a bunch of like major league ready talent.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was our show. I want to
Ooh, wait,
thank
do we have the triple
everybody.
play trivia?
Oh, do we?
Do we got a
We
little
do have triple play trivia.
Let's
So,
Okay. Awesome.
go. Yeah, let me
All right.
get that started. 1 second. Where are you? There we go. All right, guys. So the question, it has to do with spring training, since we got spring training this week. And so just to let you know, it can be more than one answer. And so the background on this question is that there was a player, a pitcher, right-handed pitcher, that played for the Toronto Blue Jays in, believe it was 1988. And so he comes to spring training. He hasn't really batted professionally up until this one point. And so the question that we have here, let me pull it up. What was so unusual about his first at bat?
Let me see.
All right. I'll have him. He wore his warm-up jacket and asked for specific pitches.
Oh, you said we can pick as many as we want, or is it how many?
He says it
Yes, that's
can
correct.
be
It can be as many as you want, or it could be just one. It could be a combination.
I'm gonna say he asked for specific pitches, hit left-handed as a right-handed, and he wore his helmet backwards. Because if it's spring, I feel like that man's just gonna go up there full troll.
It
All
was
of them?
every single one of them.
Every single one of them.
Wow.
Every single one. He did every single one at his first at bat in spring training. So he
Wow.
came up to bat, and so he had his warm-up jacket on, and the coach told him, "Hey, you need to take that off." So he's like, "Oh, okay." So he went and took it off, and then he finally gets to the batter's box, and the umpire, even though technically it is legal, well, actually no. So he was wearing a left-handed helmet, and so the ear cover wasn't protecting the right ear. So he said, "You got to go back and get the right one." And so he was like, I don't want to go back again. So he flipped his helmet backwards, which technically is allowed, but the umpire said, no, you can't do that. And so instead of going back to get the helmet, he said, okay, screw it. I'm hitting left-handed. So he went to the other side to hit left-handed. And so he's sitting there, he's getting ready for it to, he's getting ready for the pitch and everything. And the catcher notices he's just straight up looking back at his signals. And the catcher's like, what are you doing? And the pitcher, his name was Jose, he said, well, I want to know what you're pitching. And the catcher's like, obviously he can tell, this guy's not going to be a big hitter. So he's like, all right, what do you want? And he's like, can you give me a fastball? And so he throws a fastball. He fouls it off. He's like, that was a little too fast. Can you have him throw a changeup? And so both the catcher and the umpire just started laughing like crazy at it. And he ended up grounding out and everything, but that was the very unusual at bat that he had during spring training. So
Wow.
there you go.
That's
awesome.
fantastic.
All right.
That's
Thank you.
10 out of 10.
I want to give a thanks to everybody in the comments, to Christian. Brett, you have something to plug?
Oh yeah, so we talked about it on our last episode, but up on the website ASAP Sports Network, I believe .com, got an article for 5 non-roster invitees from or the D-backs invited to spring training that I have my eye on. Some of them are a little obvious. I think at least 2 of them are kind of like just personal, like who I really have my eye on. So make sure you guys go check that out. Let me know what you think. Comment, share it, tell everyone you know.
Yeah. And then make sure to follow us on YouTube, DBAC Dispatch, on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're going to be posting a lot more TikToks, a lot more Instagram polls. I don't know what to put on there. But yeah, especially with spring starting, we're going to be posting a lot more content. So we hope you join us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
We'll be right back.